he doesn't feel great about that. So Thomas Affleck wrote what was called the Cotton Plantation Record and Account Book. He was basically really obsessed with record keeping, and it was a way to document enslaved people and their productivity. Well, what was in it was things like time tracking, task tracking, accounting for direct reports. I don't know if this sounds familiar to any of you or if any of you do timesheets, but this is where it comes from. And things like reorgs, moving people around so that they couldn't unionize, having timed meals, regulating how breastfeeding operated, all of that is tethered back. And I'm not seeking to compare the work that we do with enslaved people because, of course, that's a ludicrous comparison. But I do think it's important to see the origins of where all of this comes from. So the Cotton Plantation Record and Account Book, that was fine. He lived in the South and everyone was cool with that. But it went through a little bit of a rebrand for mass appeal and was then called the Farmer's Record and Account Book so that it could be a little bit more appealing to the people of the North. And when we think about things like bonuses, one of the methodologies on plantations was the person who worked the hardest, who generated the most yields, would then get a small bonus, and then that would set the new baseline for everybody else. I don't know if you're familiar with bonus structures, but same thing. Employee of the month, same thing. Year over year increases, same thing. And then when we look at this compared, this is a tweet from Public Citizen that depicts a bunch of flags, and it says weeks of paid maternity leave, which should really be parental leave, but nonetheless, it goes through all these countries. Great job. I think Australia is at 18 weeks. Congratulations. Where I'm from, the United States, is at a whopping 0. So when we start to aggregate all this together, I think we can start to see that these tools of productivity are actually tools of exploitation and tools of oppression. And these plantation records have really not changed. Now we're about maximizing the 4-hour work week. And the people that are encouraging to do this have not changed at all, and it's in order to make the richest people richer. And lastly, on our own, so this is depicting a screen cap from Framer X, and I was working on this app that required me to generate a bunch of faces. So I thought, why not use a plugin, and it can aggregate a bunch of faces for me. And what I realized when I had like a 10 by 10 spread was that all the faces were masculine presenting, looking back at me. And I thought that's weird. I mean, I know that we have gross negligence in tech, but it seems like this is kind of an obvious oversight. And then I realized that there was a toggle, and the toggle said gender true and false. Now, when gender is true, it is male and masc presenting people, and when it's false, it's femme and female people. It's interesting. So what does that say to me? That says to me male is equal to truth, female is equal to false, and non-binary is equal to non-existence. And so when I dug into this and why it was, Framer X and this plugin called Tiny Faces is tethered to Facebook's Graph API. And Facebook's Graph API defines gender as this: the gender selected by this person, male or female. If the gender is set to custom value, this value will be based off of the preferred pronoun. It will be omitted if the preferred pronoun is neutral. Let's unpack this. I like to read docs, not everyone does. So what this says is that male will assign the value male. Female will assign the value female, and non-binary, which Facebook does have a large array of custom choices, has it depends, our favorite answer for everything that's complicated. And when we break that down, what it means is that if you choose he, him, then you will be assigned as male. If you choose she, her, then you'll be assigned as female, and then if you use they, them, or any of the other number of pronouns, it'll be assigned as null. Well, not only is that wrong, it neglects the entire nuance of gender, which is that gender is not equal to gender pronouns. So it's making a huge assumption already. And when I posted about this, as I do, someone told me, this is just a bug, just report it. I'm sure they'll be thankful as it's missed their QA. Someone else said, given that they're used to true, false for type, just seems like lazy dev work more than anything. And yeah, that might be true, but what I would like to remind them and everyone is that intent does not erase impact. That the intent of us as designers creating these tools does not erase the impact upon our users. So I give a talk that focuses on this idea of building more socially inclusive design systems. It was recorded by the Finnish government because there's nothing else better on TV than like tech talks. So I've been on Finnish TV. So if you click on that link in here for Joint Futures, you can watch that talk. But going back to what we're talking about here, this idea of products and industry and society, And looking at this definition, we have to see what this does, which is that it takes an exclusionary ecosystem, which sustains bad practices and defines systemic issues, and it feeds into exclusionary atoms, which introduce us to bad patterns, which then drive systemic flaws. And this is what we call a positive feedback loop. So the atoms we create within our design systems are informed by the society in which we live. And the society in which we live is what defines and contextualizes the atoms that we create. And so we step that out a step further, and it defines the ecosystem in society, and tech has a very large role in that. The impact that tech is that this is a list of 20 names from last year and this year. These 20 names, 1 in 2020 and 21 in 2009 and 26 in 2008, represent all of the transgender people that were murdered in those years. And of that list, 18 of them were Black women and gender non-conforming people. And so I just have to say, our society hates transgender and non-binary people. It's become very clear in the way that they are treated. And so when we go back and we think and we look at the English IV here, we have to see the connection that the atoms grow to molecules, to organisms, to beings, to ecosystems, to our world. And what have we done here? We've built at scale. Well, what technology has done is it's allowed us to build hate at scale. Technology is not a vertical. It's unique in this property. It's a horizontal. So when we look at technology, it transcends all of these other industries: tech, entertainment, fashion, automotive. This isn't an exhaustive list. Tech is a multiplier. And so what tech has done, if we put it all together, is tech has multiplied and built hate at scale. So what do we do? Well, I'll tell you about another species, Sequoia sempervirens. It's one of the oldest species in the world. It's commonly known as the redwoods. Incredible if you ever get to come to the western United States and see them. They can grow up to about 34 meters wide, 87 meters tall, and they can live to be almost 2,700 years old. They're a magnificent species. But even with their strength, English ivy can take over redwoods, and they can suffocate redwoods. And I have a picture here which shows the thickness of English ivy, which is, I would say, about a quarter of the thickness of the cross-section of redwoods. And it can suffocate these trees and basically kill them, taking away what they need. And so when I told you that we needed to look under the house, we needed to trace the roots back of the ivy that I tried to eradicate from my house, was a real problem to solve. What is that problem? We need to chase the vines, chase the green, chase the money. I'm sure you've heard in capitalism, money is where we have to find the answers. And so under this house is where we hide the roots of the white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. That's what we're working against. And so what we must do is we must lift this house. We must pull it up by its roots. And we must kill it before it kills us, all of us. We can all see the effects of climate change. And we must cut off the sunlight to the vitriolic vines of hate. And so I invite us to let's be redwoods, to learn from our fallen ancestors. And as the great James Baldwin said, nothing can be changed until it is faced. And so what we have to do, as uncomfortable as might make some of us, is we have to face racism, ableism, sexism, anti-queer, anti-trans, past and present, because that's what's driving those vines of hate. We have to face slavery and colonization, particularly those of you whose ancestors were responsible for it. And the things that we cannot get past, this is the great irony, is that also the past that we cannot seem to remember. So we have to find a way to fight that conundrum. And the New York Times released this project called the 1619 Project, great controversy. But essentially, it's a series of articles that invite us to reframe how the country discusses the role and history of its Black citizens. The one story I told you about Wall Street is one of many. It influences every infrastructure, criminal justice system, healthcare, education. All of those are framed under the auspices of slavery. And so we just need to read more diversely, read about authors that experience and are oppressed by these systems. And what we have to do is that we have to acknowledge that all of us have privilege and that our privilege is not our fault, but it is our responsibility. And as Angela Davis said to us, if they come for me in the morning, they will come for you in the night. So what we have to do is to protect the people that are most vulnerable. Fascism targets the most vulnerable people. If anyone has read fascist history, we're repeating fascism over again, and the people that they target first are typically disabled people, queer people, brown people, and people of minoritized religions. And they deem them as worthy of life. And the thing is that hate is formulaic, and tech has found a way to algorithmatize hate. So on redwoods. The thing about redwoods that I didn't tell you is that they have very, very shallow roots. So despite being these hugely majestic trees that are very wide and tall and live for so long, their roots are really shallow. So what do? Well, underground, all of the roots intertwine and help to support one another so that when great winds come, when great disasters sweep by, they're able to help support one another. And so what I invite us all to do is to stand tall and to join roots. And as Angela Davis said, we must learn to lift as we climb, and I build upon her words and say we must learn to join as we grow. Thank you.
All right, not a problem. So I'm looking a little bit flustered because I've got morning tea at 10:30 rather than 10. So thank you very much, Tatiana. I will make a very executive decision. It's not male, female, non-binary. Morning tea, 10:30. That's a definite. All right. But thank you very much for coming and speaking with us today. I think we've all picked up different things. Very varied presentation. We've got a good 30 minutes before morning tea, so good opportunity to go and network, find out what everyone else in the room does, but also to help our single person who's doing the exam prepare himself. You can all send that positive energy to him as well. So morning tea will be immediately outside the theatrette at 10:30, so you've got about 30 minutes just to kill a bit of time. If you need some help finding where the toilets are, guide dog toilets, anything like that, just let one of the volunteers know. Put your hand up, we'll come and help you out. So we'll see you all back. We'll see you at morning tea, actually, at 10:30. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something we're going to use 5 minutes to explain. Alrighty. Except I might call upon my deputy MC to come and explain what this is. Can I put you on the spot, or shall I ask Bree? All right. Did everyone read on the program something about a fishbowl? Yes? We're not talking about little guppies or anything like that. All right. Bree, would you like to explain what the fishbowl is?
Okay, yeah, we're experimenting. We're also trying some online remote participation from people anywhere in Australia or in the world. We've started calling it a Shark Tank. We thought that was a bit rough, so we called it a fishbowl. So, Amanda, would you like to come and join me? Because you helped kind of work this out with me. The idea is we've got a link on the schedule for you to put a problem. We'd like you to share a problem that you think somewhere in the digital accessibility world there is a problem that needs fixing. And then over the course of the next couple of days, we will do some little discussions, workshops, see what can be done to fix this problem. So if you've got your mobile or your website or your just go to the website aussieway.org/conference. Go to the schedule and there's a link to a Slido. Now, if you can't access that, then come and see Amanda and I, and we'll put them on post-it notes. But we'd like you to share a problem and you put it in the question.
Should you want to bring up the slide?
Yeah, we could do that.
Awesome.
So we have to go to the schedule.
Ooh, I don't want to install that.
No.
Okay. Go for it.
So if we go to...
So just to expand on the idea here, and I'm sorry for my croaky voice, my daughter shared her cold. Yay, going back to school colds. The idea here really is a non-technical hack, is we want you to come with problems and then hopefully some solutions with a plan for that solution. Obviously, we don't have time or a database to tap into to actually make those solutions, but we'd love to have some idea about maybe a potential solution that we can then work on throughout the year, leading into next year's Aussie Way. So this was really my terrible idea, so I'm sorry. And I brought it to Bree. But I think it's a good way of us getting discussion happening about different solutions, and that's really what it's about. It's not about complaining, although we do want your problems so we can find solutions, but it's about finding solutions and a really positive impact. And we have the whole year to potentially put that into play. So that's ultimately what we're after.
Yeah, also there's a couple of mini workshops on over the next couple of days. Natalie's running one around the ADIA project work, so maybe one of these problems could be something that ADIA can work on as one of their research projects. There's also the inclusive design that Eloise is doing. Maybe a couple of these problems that you put forward could be something that they discuss in the inclusive design workshop. So we will use the time available to see what we can do to get these things started. So if you go to the conference and the workshops page on the conference website, there's some information about Slido, and we'd love people at home remotely to also pitch their problems. And the details are here. And if you're unable to do this online with Slido, we'd like you to tweet your message at Aussie Way. And you'll pitch your problem there, and we will add it to the Slido questions that come up. And then maybe around midday, we will ask people to go into that Slido and vote for those problems. We'd like everyone to participate with that, and then we'll pick some main ones for us to maybe discuss and work on while we're here over the next couple of days. And thank you for your patience while we try this out. We think it's pretty exciting, and it's a great way to be inclusive and get people that can't be here with us today to be involved. Thanks, Tom.
Awesome. Okay, let's kill a couple more seconds.
Is it
Just
possible?
about
Did
finished.
anyone maybe have any questions for Tatiana? So we've had a bit of
Can we take
time,
questions?
but I'm not sure if anyone had any.
Let's get a
Is
roaming.
that something you do? I don't. Sure.
Oh, hang on, where's the mic gone? Have you got the other mic? What's you got? It's on the table. It's on the table now. Oh,
It's on the workshop page, yeah?
Yes. Yep.
all right. Does anyone have any questions for Tatiana? Just raise your hand and we'll bring a mic over to you. We have one. All right, just a second. Tatiana, we'll give you the microphone, and just give me a second to get the microphone to the other person.
Thank you, David. Hi, Tatiana. Thank you.
Hi.
And it's more of a comment and maybe something you can add to. I recently read Tim Winton's book, The Boy Behind the Curtain, and he quoted Warren Buffett, part of the very successful white patriarchy, where Warren's a wealthy man and an investor who often says things supportive of his community. Tim quoted Warren, where Warren said, "There is a war against the poor. I'm a rich person. We started that war, and we're winning it." I got some things similar to that from your presentation. Can you? Does that ring true with you?
I want to make sure I understand your question. It sounds like whether the idea that the rich invented a war against the poor, if that
Yeah. So
impacts
the rest
me?
of the
Is that
story.
question?
The rest of the story was, in Australia at least, people don't talk about class very much. We like to think of ourselves as a classless society, somewhat. Tim's argument, and he quoted Warren using this, was that actually there is a bit of a class war going on. The rich are more involved in it than the poor are, and the rich are winning.
Agree. I mean, I think that I hope that everyone gets a chance to watch parasite because I think it's, I referenced it in my talk kind of off the cuff, but I think that what's brilliant about that movie is it shows the ways in which even when the poor try to fight back against the rich, under capitalism, they end up hurting other poor people because capitalism will always win. So I don't know if that answers your comment question, but that's my commentary in return, I guess.
Hi, Tatiana. That was amazing. I just wonder if you think so. I definitely understand where these things come from, but do you believe that they're perpetuated through propaganda in, say, media, or do you think that it's more just institutionalized patriarchy? Like, what do you think is, I suppose, if we were to target one thing, what would you think, I suppose, has the most, power?
I think this is such a great question. So in another talk I give, I talk about our banal binary, and one of the just points that I bring up in there is the tools of power that are at play and who has influence over social perception. So way back in the day, it used to be basically monarchs and the wealthy, and then science became one of the pillars of influence. But the one that came along that helped to almost even things out, I guess I would say in a weird way, is media. So media is kind of the last pillar that really helps to impact social influence. So I think that it's both. If we look at media, we have to look at who controls media, and we have to chase the money. Well, who controls, especially in the United States, and I think it's the case here as well, there are very few people who control most of media.
I read somewhere Rupert Murdoch, in the countries where his media organisation controls, the newspapers and other press in a country, they're the countries that vote right-wing conservatives in. And the countries that have media that is not controlled by Rupert Murdoch are the ones that vote in left-wing politicians. And I'm kind of terrified that that's true, because that shows that there's an unholy amount of power for one particular person who has one particular political view.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that could be accurate, that it could be that terrifying?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we have to remember is that at the end of the day, this is kind of a circumventing, or I'm going around the answer a little bit, but it's this idea that power is ultimately what people seek. When we look at the richest people in the world, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, they're at a point where accruing more wealth is a bit moot to them. Like, more wealth to them doesn't do much. What they're really seeking is power. And I think it's really funny because Bill Gates in particular, I think, gets the quote unquote good guy pass in being one of the tech billionaires. But really, he said something I found very terrifying, which is they asked if he would ever run for politics. And he said, why would I ever run for politics where, I have to be voted in, I have to, have all this media training and stuff. He recognized that where he is right now, he already wields so much power through philanthropy. Philanthropy is a backdoor to power that is very feel-good. If I could recommend another book to everyone, Winners Take All by Anand Jadras is a brilliant breakdown as to how philanthropy is really this way of just controlling so much of the world.
Tatiana, I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much, your talk. And it made me remember the days when I was lucky enough to be at the university and people had time to think about these things. And it makes me wonder whether there's any way that we could actually encourage tertiary education in this country to make space for people to think about what actually lies behind the bracket or the full stop or whatever it is that goes in. Recently there was an interesting debate on the ABC about the philosophy perspective on disability, and I think it's these kinds of disciplines that need to be brought to bear on the work we do for us to really understand the significance of the work we do. And that's certainly a huge contribution you're making. I just wish we had more time and more people were able to participate in that more often.
As I take the mic over to Rosemary, I'll just add my own tiny comment, which is that a similar book in Australia to the 1619 project is Dark Emu by Bruce Pascoe. I highly recommend if people want to reevaluate Australian history from a fresh perspective. Bruce has done a lot of historical research that is really useful. Rosemary.
Very fantastic talk. I was very impressed. The comment you made about the true-false gender thing is a lot more divisive and a problem than the problem that you may not have come across or noticed, but an awful lot of forms that you fill in if you come from Australia, or I don't know where else, but you know that's where I come from, so I notice it. When you're asked to say where you come from, you get however many 50-odd states of America and nothing else. The rest of the world doesn't exist. Now, I mean, you might not think that it's probably not as important, but it is something important that you come across almost every website, every app that you go to. If they do anything, it's other. Mm-hmm. You know, 53 states and other. I think that sort of concentration of where the power comes from is really divisive and a problem as well.
Absolutely, and to add to that, I feel like I'm such a broken record. I have a talk for that, but I do. So I have a talk that discusses how privilege defines our performance and our perspective, and in there I break down the core characteristics, whether that be male, white, wealthy, American, cisgendered, neurotypical, and able-bodied, and Protestant as being 8 characteristics. Those affect everything. Like the very strong American-centric view embedded in our technology is one of many axes in which power is held.
One more question? Sal.
Hi Tatiana, loved your talk, but I'm just wondering whether there always seems to be ways of keeping people out, even in, you know, moves to include people. If I'm to use an example, I'll use the NDIS, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, that now is implemented across Australia. And the scheme is meant to help people with disability, for example, to participate. But then there's also the eligibility policies that have been placed to ensure that as many people can stay out of it as possible. How do you think we can address this? Like even in inclusion, there's exclusion. Is there a way we can take that out?
Yeah. I was asked to stand. So I think that what I'm hearing from that, and I need to read more about that, I'm woefully ignorant about a lot about Australia as I'm learning. But I think that when I hear that, what I hear is that the value of the intent of what's happening is outweighing the impact it has on the people it seeks to help. And so I think that from a methodology standpoint, what we need to do is, instead of setting out these verbose and somewhat ridiculous mission statements as to what we're trying to do, we need to trace the impact and look at who we're seeking to impact, and starting there and asking them the ways in which it would be most helpful. Like, I start to question, when I hear something like that, what research that they really did, and if they did do research, did they in fact heed the research, and who was included in that and who was not. In terms of solving it, I think that we have to recognize that an unfortunate paradox of inclusion is that you cannot include everyone at first. And I think that's a really horrible thing to hear, but I think it's the truth, is that we have to recognize that we are making choices at any given point in time, and how we define the parameters of that choice will determine who is included. And we just have to be clear about what those parameters are, so that inevitably when we figure out that we've excluded someone, intentionally or unintentionally, that we have a methodology to ensure that they are included.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tatiana, for being able to answer those. If we can just mute both of those mics. Important stuff. I know you can mute it. You know how to do it, Julie. Alrighty. So just a quick reminder again, morning tea is actually out there now. Now, to help you with your orientation to what is there. If everyone's found the tea and coffee, on the far end of that table is fresh fruit. In the middle of the whole breakout area are 2 tables side to side. On the right-hand side, as you come out from here, is all the gluten-free meals. And as you go across, you will come across banana bread, croissants, quiche, more banana bread, and a few more quiches as well. So hopefully that's got the taste buds going. If you are interested in learning about everyday accessibility, plain English for digital accessibility, how the disabled built the internet, how to build more inclusive Android apps, and to listen to a lightning talk, you're coming back here into the theatre at 11 o'clock. If you're listening to the great Gian in her workshop, and you've registered, which is all about how to test the accessibility of your mobile websites and apps, you'll be going into conference room 1. And if you're the one lone person who's going off to do an exam, good luck. All right. For everyone else, I guess we'll see you back in here at 11 o'clock. Thank you. You got a presentation? Excellent. So let's just get that transferred over there now. So you've got it's a new version of the same?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't gone totally rogue.
Oh, bugger.
There is another USB in here.
Yeah, but I've just... It's Tatiana. That's her presenter thing. Do I have what, sir?
Do we need a USB?
No, I've got one. I've got your presentation on here, but I'll get you to check it. All right, let's just sort that out first. All right, so that's you now? All right. And Christos, I've got yours here.
Now this is enabled for sound, because my presentation has video.
Session 1.
Session 2. All right, we'll just go through who have I got first. I've got Christos. I'll just run through you first. So, Alison, that's incorrect. So that's your old one.
Yep.
So we'll just get rid of that now, so we don't have any problems. All right. So Christos will run through yours and make sure it's all functioning as you want.